Hello everyone, I am up here in your top right hand corner for now. This is our first lesson of the year. I'm sorry for those of you in class that we have to do it this way, but it might be good practice for if we ever have to transition back to a distance learning situation for everyone. So just to make it clear what you should be doing today, if you're watching this video, this is probably unnecessary because you have found this video, so you probably know where everything is. But just in case, whenever we do stuff in class for distance learners and for in-class learners, everything that we do is going to be on the home page of our Canvas course. So if I go to my dashboard, it's just taking a minute. Here is our tile for this class. It says A4, but this tile is for third period and fourth period. So if you're in 3A and you're seeing that it says A4 or 4A, you're totally fine. Just click on that. And then it brings you in and it shows you what we did last time. So on August 24th, we did getting to know you stuff. And then we actually did some multiplying and some factoring. And then today, what you're supposed to do is go through and do all of the things that are underneath today's date. So this first link is a video that hopefully you've already watched describing what you're supposed to do today. Then last time we didn't watch this grading video, so I want you to watch this grading video. If you haven't watched it yet, stop this video, go back, watch the grading video, and then come back and finish this lesson. After you do the grading video, you'll do the lesson for the day, and then you will do the quiz for the day. So after the lesson or at the end of the lesson, I will go through the first couple of questions on the factoring quiz just to make sure that you know what to enter and that you feel good about being able to complete this. So everything is in Canvas, and the expectation is that you do them in the order that I have them. So you watch the What Do I Do Today video, then you watch the grading video from last time, then you do the lesson, then you do the quiz. Okay, so that's all you need to know before we get started. I'm gonna pull up my doc viewer so that you can see where we're taking notes, and then I'm gonna move myself to this corner. Let me just get everything kind of situated. Okay, so last time I gave you your notebook, and in the very first video that you should have watched today, I told you that you should have gotten either from a sub or from Mr. Angel, or just watching the first video, your workbook. So I actually want to start with the notebook that I gave you last time. Notice that I have the date here. What we did last time was we talked about factoring numbers completely. So that's where you list out all the factors. Then we reviewed distributing, so multiplying a number into a set of parentheses. And then we briefly reviewed double distributing. So I'm going to flip the page. And on the back of this first one, I am going to write today's date. So today we're on August 26th. And I like to write the day. And we're just going to take a couple of notes in this notebook. I want to give you a really good introduction to what we're talking about today, and then everything else will be in your workbook. So just to briefly review one of the things we talked about last time. We talked about how if you have a number outside of parentheses, you can multiply it into the parentheses by distributing. So we would need to take this 8 and multiply it to the first term. 8 times 3 is 24. And then you keep the x. So it's like you multiply the 8 to the 3, and what you end up getting out is 24x. then I think about this as 8 times -5. So 8 times -5 is going to give you a -40. So your final answer is 24x minus 40. You can also do this if you have 3 numbers inside a parenthesis. So let's say you have x squared plus 5x minus 24. So we just do the same thing. We multiply this 3 into every term inside the parentheses. So 3 times x squared, because there's no number in front of the x squared, we just put the 2 together, 3x squared. Then we do 3 times positive 5x, so that's going to be a plus 15x. And now this last one, I'm actually going to need to use a calculator to do 3 times -24. And I'm going to use Desmos. So I'm just going to go to my internet. I'm going to pull up a new window and I'm going to type in Desmos.com. So let me move my face out of the way. Desmos.com. I'm going to hit enter. And you are going to scroll down, just kidding. The calculator used to be on the front page. Where is it now? Maybe we hit resources, math tools. Okay, so you're going to hit math tools right here, and you're going to choose the 4-function scientific calculator, or no, just the 4-function calculator. So the third one down. And then this, well, actually, I wonder what the scientific one looks like. Do the scientific one. So up here on Math Tools, go to the scientific calculator. I'm going to do 5 times -24. And notice you don't even need to hit enter. You can just type in the problem. Sorry, I was just trying to make it a little bigger for you. And Desmos will put the answer right here on the right-hand side. If you hit enter, it just keeps track of the work that you've done. So back to what we were doing, I was using Desmos to do 3 times -24. I already forgot what it was. It is -120. So my last term is -120. So maybe let's give you one to try on your own, and then I will explain to you what we're actually, sorry, I want to do one more. One thing that we didn't talk about last time was what happens if we multiply in a variable. So let's say we have 5x times x squared minus 3x minus, what do I want? 10. So once again, we multiply this 5x into each term. But the thing that's different this time is that we have an x that we're multiplying in. So just to briefly review this, there's no number. So 5 times no number on the front is just going to stay as 5. And now when we multiply the x in, we want to think about it as, okay, we have 2 x's and we're multiplying in another x. So that's going to give us a total of 3 x's. You just count up how many x's you have. So if I take this 1x and I put it with these 2 x's, that gives me 3 x's. 5 times -3 is -15. I have 2 x's, so that's going to turn into x squared. And then on the last one, 5 times -10 is going to be -50. I have no variable on the 10, so that just means I have this 1x that I need to keep track of. I like to box my answers to try to keep my work a little bit neat, so I'm going to do that really quick. And now that we talked about multiplying a variable in. I want you to try one on your own. So let's have you do 4x squared times 7x cubed minus 3x. So I'm going to draw the arrows for you just to kind of help, and then pause the video and really try this problem without me. So do what we did on the above 3 problems, pause the video, and then try this. Okay, hopefully you truly, for realsies, tried it. So you multiply the numbers together. 4 times 7 is going to give you 28x squared times x cubed. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's now, so that's going to be x to the 5th. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, and you have 1, 2, 3 x's. So this is x cubed. So what does this have to do with what we're doing today? What we're doing today is working backward. So this review, what we did was we multiplied in a number to into a set of terms inside of parentheses. So I gave you this, and you gave me what is in the box. Today, what we're doing is I'm going to give you the box, and you're going to give me what would have been multiplied in. So I'm going to give you what's in the box, and you're going to give me this factored expression. So we're going to factor something like this into something like this. Now remember, when you factor something, you're just listing things that you can multiply together to get the desired outcome. So here we wanted 48. These are all the things that we can multiply together to get 48. Here we wanted 54. These are all the things we multiplied together to get 54. It's the same thing here. If you want to have 28x to the 5th minus 12x cubed, this is what you would multiply together to get that. So we are factoring today, but we're factoring what is called an algebraic expression. So that is the review needed, or the intro to the task that we are going to do today. So I think that I'm gonna, do I want to pause the video here? No, I think I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so we are on page 6 in your notebook. So I don't know why I didn't fix that, but this 6 should be on the left-hand side, not the right-hand side. We're on page 6, and the title says Factoring Out a Greatest Common Factor. Greatest Common Factor means GCF, and it is a term that you can divide out of each of the numbers. So if we're working backwards, so in our review, we multiplied in these numbers. If we're working backward, what that means is now we're going to divide out a number. So the warm-up was us multiplying in a number. Working backward would mean dividing out a number. So the tip, or the easiest way to do this, is to check the first and the last term in any algebraic expression. So you look at the first term, and then you look at the last term. So for the first term, what you're looking for is the number that you should factor out. So underneath that word first, I'm writing the word number. When you go to the first term, that's going to tell you what number you are going to factor out. The last term is going to tell you the variable or the number of x's you're going to factor out. So the first term usually tells you what number to factor out. The last term tells you what variable to factor out. Okay, so we have 3 examples that we're going to do together. So it says check the first term. The first term usually tells you what number you're going to factor out. So based off of this first expression, the number that we are going to factor out is the number 6. I look at the last term, there is no variable. So we're not going to take any x's out, and I want you to mark that. So the first term, you can take a 6 out. The last term, there's no variable, there's no x's, so we cannot take a letter out. Okay, so this now is our GCF. So we're going to write the number 6. I'm drawing a little arrow saying that's what I'm factoring out of this expression. Then up under the expression, I'm going to divide each term by 6. So this fraction line means dividing. So on my first term, 6 divided by 6 is 1. And I'm going to say x squared. Okay, next we have 54 divided by 6. If you don't know what that is, you're going to go over to Desmos and you're going to type in 54 divided by 6. That's 9. So I have a plus 9x. I have a plus because this up here is a plus. So if it's an addition here, it's an addition down here. Then I have a minus, and I need to do 42 divided by 6. If you use your calculator, I believe that's 7. This one always confuses me, so I'm going to double check. 42 divided by 6, and that is 7. And then I'm going to end my parentheses. So this is the factored form. The GCF was 6, so I'm going to write that down underneath. The GCF was 6. That's what I took out, and notice you have to write it outside of your parentheses. Make sure that you do not forget to write that outside your parentheses. And then 3 terms, end parenthesis. One thing that I would change about this factoring is I would not write the 1 on the x squared. That's not usually how you write algebraic expressions. If it's a 1, you just leave it off. Okay, example 2. So on all of these, we look at the first and the last term. There's no number on the first term. So we're not going to factor out or take out a number from this algebraic expression. I look at the last term and it has an x. So I can take out or factor out an x from every single term. So I'm going to bring this GCF out to the very front and draw a parenthesis. I know that this is the GCF because I checked my first term and my last term. If there's a number on the front, that's the number you factor out. If there's a variable at the last term, that's the letters you factor out. So on this one, the number on the front was our GCF because there was no letter. On this one, X is our GCF because there's no number on the front. Okay, last time we counted up when we were multiplying in, we counted up how many X's we have. This time, since we're doing the opposite, we're taking an X out. It's like subtracting. So if I have 5 X's and I take one of them out or I take one of them away, that leaves me with 4 X's. So that would be X to the 4th. I keep my minus sign here. Then I divide this term by x. I keep the 4 because I'm not dividing out any number, and my x's reduced to 3. If I have 4 x's and I take one out, then I have 3 x's left over. Next, I have a plus 5. I'm going to divide that by x. If I have 3 x's and I take one away, that leaves me with x squared. Next, I have a minus 2. I'm going to divide that term by x. I have 2 x's and I factor 1 out, so that just means I'm left with 1x. Then lastly, I have a plus 7. I divide an x off that term. I only have 1 x here, so if I take it away, there's no variable left over. Underneath here, I'm going to write that my GCF was x. So my first example, we only had a number to factor out. My second example, we have only a letter to factor out. Now my third example, I'm going to have both. How do I know? Because just like my instructions say up here, I check my first term. That's this guy. That means I can take out a 3. Then I check my last term. I have 2 x's here, so I can take those out. So if you have a number on the front, you can usually factor that out. And if you have a letter on the end, you can normally factor that out. So what we're dividing out or factoring out this time is 3x squared. I'm going to start my parentheses, and then I'm going to divide each term by 3x squared. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. If I have x to the 5th and I take 2 of them away, that leaves me with x to the 3rd. I divide my next term by 3x squared. I should have a plus sign there. There's a plus here. I do a plus there. 18 divided by 3 is 6. If I have 4 x's and I factor out 2 of those, what we're left over with is 2 x's. And then I have a minus. I divide this last term by 3x squared. 9 divided by 3 is 3. If I have 2x squareds and I take away both of them, sorry, I don't have 2x squareds. If I have 2 x's, or x squared, and I take away from it the same thing, 2 x's or x squared, you have no variable left over there. So just to make sure we're clear, the GCF for this third example was 3x squared. And then lastly, remember, we don't leave the 1 on that x. We don't leave the 1 there. So that is all that we're doing today. We're getting an algebraic expression, and we are going to factor out a GCF if there is one. You find the GCF by looking at the first term and the last term. So I did 3 with you. I'm going to walk you through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to try 5 through 12 on your own, check your answers, and then do your quiz. So I'm going to walk you through 1 through 4. You're going to practice 5 through 12, and then you're going to take your quiz to show me if you understood it. Okay, number 1. What should you do first? What's the first thing that you should look at? Okay, you check the first term. We're going to take out a 3. So right here, I'm going to write a comma, and I'm going to say the GCF equals 3. Okay, what should you check next? Hopefully you said the end and you circled this x squared. So that means you're also going to factor out an x squared. So we are factoring out a 3x squared this time. So I'm going to write that down, 3x squared, and then I'm going to draw the parentheses. You have to put your GCF in front of the new factored expression. So I'm going to divide my first term by 3x squared. These two things are related. Your GCF is the thing that you divide every single term by. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I'm not going to write that down because we don't usually do that. X to the 5th, if you divide off x squared, so you have 5 x's, you take away 2, that's going to give you x to the 3rd. Plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. X to the 4th. So 4 x's, you take away 2 x's, that's going to give you x squared. I divide the next term by 3x squared, so I have a minus. 18 divided by 3 is 6. I have 3 x's, I take away 2 x's, that's going to give me x. I divide the last term by 3x squared. Minus 30 divided by 3 is 10. X squared divided by x squared, those just go to 1, or if you have 2 x's and you take 2 x's away, you don't have any left over. So that is the end of the algebraic expression. So how do I know what to factor out? I check the first and the last term. You take out the number that's on the front and the variable that's on the end. So I took out a 3x squared. I divided each term by 3x squared. And then for my final answer, I made sure to write my GCF outside of the parentheses and then my factored expression. Okay, number 2, I want you to see if you can find the GCF without me. So I'm just going to wait for like 10 seconds, and then I'm going to circle the GCF. Okay, so hopefully you circled the 5 on the front and the X on the end. So this time your GCF is 5X. Which means that you are going to divide both of these terms by 5x, and you're going to be very careful to write the 5x outside of the new factored expression. Okay, sorry, my computer ran out of space, so I had to delete some things. So back to right where we just were. 5 divided by 5 is 1. We're not going to write that down, and we just go to the x's. If we have 5 x's and we take 1 away, that's going to leave us with x to the 4th. Minus 80 divided by 5, I'm going to need Desmos for that. 16. So I have minus 16. If I have 1x and I take it away, that leaves me with nothing. Okay, next up, you decide what the GCF is. This time our GCF is 4x. We've circled the first and the last, which means you're going to divide all 3 terms by 4x and you are going to make sure to write 4x outside of the parentheses. Your first term, see if you know what it is. You should have x cubed. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so it just goes away. And hopefully that you're noticing on all of these, the first term, the first number just goes away. Every one of our answers is just an x to some power. So that first number always just goes away. Minus, and then plus. See if you know what goes in those two blanks now. I'll give you like 20 seconds. Okay, so the middle term should be 3x, and the last term should be 8. Okay, you try 4 all on your own. Maybe pause the video and then unpause it and check in with me when you've actually tried it. So really pause the video because I'm going to start writing out the solution. And you need to do it before I do it. Okay, hopefully you really paused and tried it. Your GCF is 3 only. It's only 3 because you don't have a letter on the end here. That means you're going to divide each term by 3. We're going to be careful to write 3 outside of the parentheses. And inside, you should have x squared plus 6x minus 3. Now, at this point, you should try these problems and then watch the video when you're ready to check your solution. So maybe let's go 4 at a time. Let's have you pause the video and do 5, 6, 7, 8, then unpause and come back and check the answers. Then I'll have you do 9, 10, 11, 12, pause the video again, or sorry, pause the video, do 9, 10, 11, 12, and then check your answers. Yeah, so pause now, do 5, 6, 7, 8, pause, really pause. I just worked through the next 4, and before you check answers, just know I make mistakes all the time. So if my answer is different from yours and you're 100% sure that you're right, then don't worry, trust yourself, and then when I see you again in class, let me know that my answer was wrong so that I can fix it. But I make mistakes every single day, so don't get too worried if our answers are different. Just double check your work, and if you feel good about it, then move on with your answer. So my GCF for number 5 was 2x. My GCF for number 6 was 6x to the 4th. 7 was 7x to the 4th. And 8 was a GCF of 2. Now at this point, I would just pause and leave this screen frozen on your Chromebook and now just check the final answer. I'm gonna just keep it playing while you check because I'm gonna check my answers against the key that I have here just to make sure. Okay, if you need more time, pause, finish checking, and then do 9, 10, 11, 12. So finish checking, do 9, 10, 11, 12. If you're done checking, then just go ahead and pause and do 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, on this one, I'm not going to go through every single answer. I'm just going to let you pause it and verify your answers. I'm just quickly checking mine And then I'm gonna highlight one thing. Okay, I think mine looks good. So the one thing that I want to highlight is the thing that I literally highlighted on my answer sheet. Notice that on number 10, on this one case, if you have just an X and you take away the X, you have to keep a placeholder there. So you have to write a +1. Normally you have a number there, and so you don't need a placeholder. But in this particular case, you have to have a placeholder. So if you factor something out and it goes to 1 and that's it, you actually do have to write the 1 down. And on your quiz, you are going to get ones where that is the case. So really, trust me, highlight this. I promise you, you're going to get to the quiz, and then some of you guys are going to miss it because we only did one of these and you might forget. So circle it with your pencil. If you have markers or highlighters, actually really highlight it. Then pause this screen so that you can go through and check your answers. If you have questions, you can wait to ask them until you see me. But if not, then I feel like you are ready to take your quiz. In fact, I'm going to go there with you now just to give you a couple of tips, and then you are done for the day. So I'm going to switch back over to Canvas. And I'm going to now click on the quiz that you guys are supposed to be taking. So sometimes you'll notice that the first couple of quiz questions are actually questions from your notes. So question 1, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Let me fix that. No, stop it. Why? Question number 1 is the same as number 11 on your notes. So I'm just going to copy down exactly what I have from my notes. It says, what is the GCF? So I'm going to fill in a 3x. And then it says, fill in the blanks for the factored form. Notice that I have written the parentheses and the plus and minuses. They're really small, but they're there. So all you have to fill in is the terms. So the first one, we type in our GCF, which is 3x. I'm on all caps. I need to fix that. Okay, my next term should be x to the 5th. And up here in the problem, you can't, there's not an option for you to make this an exponent in Canvas. So you're going to type in x, shift 6, and then the number 5. That's x to the 5th. Then there's a minus, so all I need to type into the next one is 10x, shift 6, and it gives you that little caret. It's like a bottomless triangle to the 4th. And don't put any spaces in. When you guys do Canvas, don't ever use spaces because it'll mark you wrong. The next one should be 3x caret to the 3rd. So 3x, shift 6 to the 3rd. The next is 4x, shift 6, 2, minus 6x, minus 8. So that is your first one. Question 2 is also from the notes, so I'm going to skip that one. Question 3 just wants you to go through and list the GCF. So you don't have to factor it. All you have to type in here is the GCF. So the first one's pretty easy. It's 2x to the 4th. So that's all I type in. I don't put parentheses in. I don't do any of that. I just type in the GCF. And then from there, they're similar to the first two. So you just want to make sure that you don't use blanks and, or sorry, you don't, not blanks, that you don't use spaces and you use shift 6 to do your exponents. You have 3 attempts to do the quiz. So I'm going to submit mine now, even though it's not done, because I know I can do it again. And then down here, it'll show me which ones I got right. So I got question 1 all the way right. Question 2, I didn't do. Question 3, the one that I did, I got right. So make sure, and I don't know what I'm going to tell you to make sure. That's just what it is. So you have 3 attempts. You can do it as much as you want. Maybe I was going to say make sure you don't use spaces and you use shift 6. Okay, so I know that this is a really long lesson, but it includes everything. Hopefully it's enough for you to be successful. If you can't wait until you see me next time, or if you are a distance learner and you have questions, please just send me an email. I'm pretty sure that you can send me a video of yourself talking in an email. So if you need to, just hold up your workbook and be like, I need help with this problem. I'm not understanding how you got that. And then I think I can send you a video back, and hopefully that will be helpful. Okay. Have a great day, guys. I hope your quiz goes well.